Paul had been driving for hours on the long stretch of desert highway. The road seemed endless, flat and silent. The sun had set hours ago, leaving only the pale light of the moon and the faint glow of his car's headlights to guide him. The air was dry and the wind occasionally whispered through the small cracks in the windows. He had been traveling to visit a friend in a nearby town, but the road felt lonely and strange tonight. Something about the desert always made him feel small and quiet, like the world around him was holding its breath. As he drove, Paul noticed a sudden flash of red and blue lights in his rearview mirror. At first he thought it was a regular highway patrol car. He slowed down, signaling with his turn signal to pull over. The car was close behind, moving smoothly, perfectly aligned with him. When he stopped on the side of the road, his heart began to beat faster. There was something unusual about the car. Its markings were different from the usual patrol cars he had seen. Instead of the normal badges and stripes, it had strange symbols along the side, faintly glowing in the darkness. Paul's hands tightened around the steering wheel as the patrol car came to a smooth stop behind him. The lights reflected on the asphalt, making the desert road look like a scene from a dream. A woman stepped out of the car. She wore the standard patrol uniform, but her presence was unusual. She moved with perfect precision, every step calculated, almost as if she had rehearsed them 1,000 times. Her posture was straight, her head held high, and there was a calm confidence in the way she approached the car. "Good evening, sir," she said, her voice smooth and even. It sounded human, but there was a strange resonance beneath it, almost mechanical, that Paul could not place. Her eyes caught the moonlight glowing faintly. He blinked and looked again. The glow was subtle, almost unnoticeable at first, but it made her look different, not entirely like a normal human. Good evening, officer," Paul said, trying to keep his voice steady. He reached for his license and registration. The woman nodded and extended her hand toward him. Paul handed over his documents, feeling a slight shiver run down his spine. There was something about her that made him feel nervous, though she did not seem threatening. She took his papers with careful precision, scanning them briefly with a small device he had never seen before. It was a slim, rectangular tool with a soft blue light, almost humming quietly. She did not use it like a regular scanner. It seemed to be reading more than just the information on his license. "Where are you headed tonight?" she asked, her voice calm, almost too calm. "I'm going to visit a friend in the next town," Paul replied, unsure if he should explain more. There was something strange about how she asked questions. It felt polite, but also intentional, as if she was observing more than listening. She nodded slowly. "I see, and your speed? Were you aware you were slightly above the limit?" Paul looked at the speedometer. He had been driving around 5 miles over the limit. "Yes, I suppose I was," he said. Her eyes seemed to study him for a moment longer than necessary. Paul shifted in his seat, feeling slightly uncomfortable. It was not fear exactly, but a growing sense that this encounter was not ordinary. She was too still, too perfect, too calm. The desert around them was silent, and even the wind had paused. For a moment it felt like the whole world was holding its breath with him. The woman took a step back, her device still glowing softly. "I need to scan your vehicle. It will take a few minutes." Paul's heart skipped a beat. "Scan my car?" he asked. "I don't understand. Why?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she held the device over his dashboard and the interior of the car. The light from the device swept across the seats, the floor, and the small items he kept in the compartments. Paul watched as the blue glow passed over his belongings, feeling exposed and vulnerable. The scan was thorough, precise, and unlike anything he had ever experienced. Finally, she looked at him and said, "Your vehicle is safe. No threats detected?" Paul exhaled slowly. "Okay. Thank you, officer," he said, still unsettled. The woman nodded once. "You may continue your journey. Drive safely." Paul started the car again, feeling a strange mix of relief and curiosity. He glanced at her as she returned to the patrol car. Her movements were smooth and flawless, almost inhuman. When she climbed back inside, the interior of the car glowed faintly with the same soft blue light as her scanning device. Paul blinked, wondering if he had imagined it. As he drove away, he kept thinking about the encounter. Something about her was not human. It was not just the glow in her eyes or the precision of her movements. It was something deeper, something he could not explain. He tried to shake the feeling and focused on the road ahead. The desert stretched endlessly, quiet and empty, but now it felt different. He felt watched, not in a threatening way, but as if someone was guarding the highways silently. Paul passed another patrol car further down the road and noticed that it looked normal. The difference struck him clearly. There were no glowing symbols, no faint blue lights, no unnatural precision. This was an ordinary police car, and it reminded him of the reality he knew. But the patrol car that had stopped him, it was something else entirely. He tried to focus on the small towns and the road signs that guided him, but his mind kept returning to the officer. Who was she? And why did she seem so perfect? Paul had seen many law enforcement officers in his life, but never one like this. She did not have the usual nervousness, fatigue, or uncertainty that human officers carried after long shifts. She moved with a clarity and focus that was almost alien in itself. The rest of the drive was quiet. Paul's thoughts wandered between disbelief and fascination. He kept glancing at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the patrol car still following him, but it was gone. It had disappeared as silently as it had appeared, leaving only the empty stretch of highway behind him. The desert night felt larger now and the silence deeper. By the time Paul reached the edge of the next town, the sky was fully dark, filled with stars he rarely noticed while driving. He parked his car outside his friend's house and sat for a moment, trying to process what had happened. The encounter felt like more than a simple traffic stop. Something was different, something about the officer and the patrol car. Paul could not stop thinking about her glowing eyes, the precise movements, and the strange scanning device. Was she really human, or was there something else at work? He did not have answers, but the questions burned in his mind. He knew this night would not be forgotten easily. It was the first time he realized that the universe might be larger, stranger, and more extraordinary than he had ever imagined. He stepped out of the car and looked at the dark highway behind him. The road stretched endlessly, empty and silent. He wondered if the patrol car was still out there somewhere, watching, waiting, guarding. It was a strange thought, but not frightening. Somehow he felt that the officer had appeared for a reason, and perhaps the world was not as ordinary as he had once believed. Paul walked toward his friend's house, feeling a sense of curiosity and awe he could not shake. The night had started like any other, with a long drive on a quiet highway. But now it had become something extraordinary, something beyond the ordinary rules of the world he knew, and Paul could not help but wonder what he might learn if the mysteries of that night were only the beginning. Paul could not sleep that night. Even after his friend offered a comfortable couch and a warm cup of tea, his mind kept returning to the patrol officer on the desert highway. He kept thinking about her glowing eyes, the way she moved, and the strange device she had used to scan his car. Something about her did not fit into the world he knew. He tried to dismiss it as fatigue or imagination, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw the soft blue glow and felt that calm, deliberate presence. The next morning, Paul decided to take a walk outside before leaving town. The air was crisp and quiet. The desert seemed endless, even near the edge of the town. He thought about the officer again. She had seemed polite, professional, even gentle in her words. Yet there had been something unnerving about her, something that suggested she knew more than she was letting on. As he walked along a side road, he noticed another patrol car parked at the edge of the town. This one looked ordinary. The markings were familiar, the lights standard, and the officers inside moved in the usual slow, human way. Paul observed them for a few minutes, almost expecting the previous night's officer to appear from behind the car. But nothing happened. It was a normal scene, ordinary and familiar. Paul felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. Relief that the world was not entirely alien, but disappointment because he wanted to understand. He wanted to know why the patrol officer had acted differently. Why had she scanned his car? Why had her eyes glowed, and why did she move with such precision? He returned to his friend's house and tried to ask questions. "Do you know if anything unusual happens on that highway at night?" he asked. His friend looked puzzled. "It's just a regular road, Paul. Nothing strange happens there. The patrols are standard. Why do you ask?" Paul hesitated. He did not want to sound crazy. I saw a patrol officer last night. She was different. It was like she wasn't human." His friend laughed softly. "Not human? Come on, Paul, maybe you were tired or stressed from driving. Officers get tired too, and the lights in the desert can play tricks on your eyes." Paul nodded, but he did not feel convinced. He had been wide awake and alert when she pulled him over. He remembered the soft glow in her eyes, the strange symbols on her car, and the scanning device. He knew it was not fatigue or imagination. there was something more, something he could not yet explain. Later that day, as he prepared to leave town and continue his journey, he noticed the feeling of being watched again. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but familiar. He glanced at the highway stretching behind him and felt a shiver. He started the car and drove slowly, observing every movement around him. The desert looked normal in the daylight, but he could not shake the memory of glowing eyes and precise steps from the night before. A few miles down the road, Paul saw a faint shimmer near the roadside. At first he thought it was a trick of the sunlight on the sand, but as he drove closer, he realized it was the same patrol car from the night before, parked silently without lights. The symbols on the side glowed faintly even in daylight. His heart began to race. The officer stepped out. Her uniform looked ordinary in the sunlight, but the glow in her eyes was still there, subtle but undeniable. She did not smile or wave. She simply stood there watching him approach. "Good morning," she said in the same calm, even voice. It was familiar now, yet still strange. Paul stopped the car a few feet away. "You again?" he said. "Why are you here?" She nodded once. "I have questions for you." Paul frowned. "Questions? About what?" She paused, looking at him carefully. "About what you saw last night." Paul swallowed hard. I saw your eyes glow, and the symbols on your car, that device you used to scan my vehicle. What are you? Are you human?" The officer's expression did not change. "I am human in form, but I am not from this world. My mission is to monitor threats and protect humans from dangers that are not always visible." Paul felt his stomach tighten. He wanted to laugh, but it would not have felt right. Her words were serious, her voice calm and measured. He sensed no deception. "Not from this world?" He whispered. "Yes," she said simply. "You are on a highway that is monitored for certain anomalies. Highways are weak points. Unseen energy can pass through them, allowing entities to travel from one location to another without detection. My responsibility is to prevent such intrusions from harming humans." Paul tried to process this. He had heard stories of aliens and secret agencies, but this was real. The officer stood before him, calm and authoritative, yet clearly not entirely human. He felt awe and fear mix inside him. "Why me?" he asked. "Why did you stop me?" "You were in the right place at the right time," she said. "I needed to ensure that nothing unusual was traveling in your vicinity. Your car and presence needed to be scanned to rule out interference. It was not a personal action against you." Paul nodded slowly. He could not speak for a few moments. He looked at her eyes, glowing faintly in the morning sun. They were no longer intimidating, but somehow reassuring. He realized that she was here to protect, not to harm. Do you always patrol like this?" he asked, curiosity overcoming fear. "Yes," she said. "I watch and guard. Many humans never notice. Many would not understand. That is why I operate with discretion. My goal is to protect, not to frighten." Paul felt a mixture of wonder and pride. Humans were not just weak beings in a vast universe. They had protectors, even if he had never imagined them. He felt a spark of something powerful, a realization that humanity was important even in ways he could not fully comprehend. Suddenly, a noise in the distance caught their attention. A vehicle moved quickly along the highway, faster than it should. Paul noticed the shimmer of light around it, faint but noticeable. The officer's posture shifted slightly, precise and alert. Paul could feel her focus, intense and unyielding. "That vehicle," she said. "It carries an anomaly. It must be intercepted." Paul's heart raced. "Intercepted? How?" he asked, realizing that she meant more than stopping a speeding car. The officer's eyes glowed brighter and her movements became sharper. She walked to her patrol car with fluid precision and opened the door. Paul watched in amazement as the car's interior glowed faintly, similar to the scanning device she had used. He realized that her vehicle, like her, was more than it seemed. "You must stay here," she said to Paul. "It is not safe to follow." Paul wanted to argue, but he stayed in the car. He watched as the patrol officer accelerated with impossible speed. The strange vehicle ahead seemed to respond immediately, trying to escape, but she moved with precision that defied human limits. Paul's mind struggled to comprehend what he was seeing. For the first time, he understood that humans were not weak. They had potential, hidden abilities, and protectors who could operate beyond ordinary limits. He felt a sense of awe that he had never felt before, realizing that the universe was full of wonders he had never imagined. As he sat in the car, he thought about the patrol officer and the strange events of the past 24 hours. He understood that the world was larger than he had believed. Humanity was not alone, and perhaps it was not as fragile as it seemed. He felt a quiet pride, knowing that even ordinary humans like him were part of something greater, watched over by those who could act when danger arose. When the officer returned, she looked calm again. The anomaly was gone, captured or neutralized. She approached Paul's car and nodded. "Everything is safe now. You may continue your journey." Paul exhaled, feeling relief and awe at the same time. "Thank you," he said, realizing that words felt small compared to the experience he had witnessed. "You must remember what you saw," she said, "and keep it secret. Humans are not yet ready to fully understand. But know this, your species has potential. Adaptability, courage, and curiosity make humans unique. That is why this world is worth protecting." Paul nodded, understanding the importance of her words. He started the car, feeling a sense of pride and wonder. The highway stretched ahead, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in meaning. He drove on with a quiet excitement, knowing that humanity was watched over and valued in ways most people could never imagine. The highway was the same, the desert the same, but Paul felt changed. He knew that the patrol officer's presence had opened his eyes to something larger. Humanity was strong, protected, and extraordinary, even if most people would never see it. Paul could not stop thinking about the events from the previous day. The patrol officer's calm demeanor, glowing eyes, and extraordinary abilities had left a deep impression on him. As he continued his journey down the desert highway, he felt both curious and cautious. Something had changed in his understanding of the world. Humans were not just ordinary beings living on a small planet. There were protectors, forces, and secrets he had never imagined. The highway stretched endlessly in front of him. The desert was quiet, the sun beginning to dip low, casting long shadows over the sand. Paul's mind wandered between the ordinary landscape and the extraordinary events he had witnessed. He had driven many highways before, but tonight every mile felt significant. Every curve and distant hill seemed to hold the possibility of something unexpected. Suddenly he saw a faint shimmer in the distance. It was similar to the one he had noticed the previous day. Paul slowed down and focused. His heart raced as the shimmer grew closer. He realized it was not a normal vehicle. The light around it flickered and shifted, almost like it was bending reality. Paul's pulse quickened. This was not an ordinary car. Before he could react further, the patrol officer appeared again. Her car had materialized seemingly from nowhere. The symbols along the side glowed faintly in the twilight, and the soft blue light from her scanning device illuminated the interior. She moved with perfect precision, stepping out of the car calmly yet ready. Paul watched, frozen by awe. The strange vehicle was approaching the patrol car, moving erratically as if sensing her presence. Its light flickered and an unusual energy pulsed around it. The officer's eyes glowed brighter, and she reached for the device she had used to scan his car before. "Stay in your car," she said to Paul, her voice calm but firm. "Do not intervene. This is not for human interaction." Paul nodded, though he wanted to follow. He could only watch as the officer moved. In an instant, she was not just a human in uniform. Her body shifted subtly, becoming stronger, faster, and more powerful. Paul gasped as he saw her skin glint faintly like armor, and her eyes blazed with energy. Every movement was precise, almost instantaneous. She reached the strange vehicle and touched it lightly with her device. The energy surrounding the vehicle pulsed violently, and then disappeared. The car slowed and stopped as if controlled by her will. Paul could hardly believe what he was seeing. The patrol officer, who had seemed human just moments ago, now moved like a being from another world. She opened the door of the strange vehicle carefully. Inside, a being unlike anything Paul had seen before struggled. Its skin shimmered faintly, and its eyes glowed with intelligence. It was clearly aware of her presence but could not resist. The officer lifted it from the car with ease, holding it as if it were light as a feather. Paul realized then that humans were not as defenseless as he had once thought. The officer's abilities were extraordinary, but her mission was protective. She was not attacking for harm. She was ensuring safety. Paul felt a growing sense of pride in humanity. If protectors like her existed, then humans had potential beyond their ordinary limits. After securing the being, the officer returned to her vehicle. She moved with the same calm, deliberate precision, now back in her human form. Her eyes glowed faintly, reassuring and commanding at the same time. She approached Paul's car. "You saw enough," she said softly. "Do you understand now why I operate this way?" Paul nodded slowly, still processing the events. "Yes, I understand. You are here to protect humans, to stop threats that we cannot even see." "That is correct," she said. "Humans are capable of great adaptability. They can learn, change, and survive in ways that many species cannot. That is why this world must be protected. And why I am here." Paul felt awe and gratitude at the same time. He had never imagined the universe could be so vast, full of hidden dangers and secret guardians. The patrol officer was not an enemy or a stranger. She was a protector, ensuring that humans could continue to grow and thrive. He looked at her carefully. "Are there others like you?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "There are others, though few are assigned to Earth. Many species monitor the universe, and we collaborate when necessary. But humans are unique. Their potential is extraordinary." Paul's heart swelled with pride. He realized that humanity was not ordinary, not weak, not insignificant. Humans were special, capable, and worthy of attention from beings far more advanced than they could imagine. The patrol officer's voice drew him back from his thoughts. "You must remember what you saw, but you must also remember to continue your life as normal. Do not speak of this to others. Humans are not yet ready to fully understand the universe around them." Paul nodded, feeling the weight of her words. It was a secret he would carry, a truth that few could ever comprehend. He started his car, but before he drove away, he asked one more question. "Will I ever see you again?" She looked at him and smiled faintly. "Perhaps. When the need arises. Humanity has a way of surprising even those who protect it." Paul felt a strange calm. The desert highway stretched ahead, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in meaning. He drove on, carrying with him a sense of wonder and pride. Humanity was protected, valued, and watched over. He understood now that humans were not alone and that their potential was greater than he had ever imagined. The sun set completely, casting the desert in shadow. Paul's headlights illuminated the road, but his mind was on the patrol officer and the events he had witnessed. He knew the universe was vast, dangerous, and full of mysteries, but he also knew that humans had a place in it. They could grow, adapt, and thrive, guided by protectors who understood their potential. As the night deepened, Paul felt a quiet strength within himself. He was an ordinary human, yet part of something extraordinary. The highway was more than a road. It was a path to discovery, a bridge between ordinary life and the wonders of the universe. He knew that even the smallest humans could contribute to something larger, something important. Paul thought about the patrol officer again. She was not just a guardian. She was a symbol of what humans could achieve, a reminder that humanity was special. Her abilities, her knowledge, and her calm presence inspired him. He realized that the world was full of surprises and that humans had the potential to rise beyond their limitations. The night was quiet, the highway empty, but Paul's mind was alive with possibilities. He felt a connection to something larger, a sense of belonging in a universe that seemed overwhelming and mysterious. Humanity was not weak. It was capable, resilient, and worthy of protection. He drove on with a new sense of purpose, knowing that the patrol officer had shown him a glimpse of what humans could become. As he continued, Paul reflected on the lessons he had learned. The patrol officer had revealed that the universe was vast and full of hidden dangers, but she had also shown him that humans had the ability to survive and thrive, even when faced with challenges beyond their understanding. Humanity was strong, adaptable, and extraordinary. By the time Paul reached the outskirts of another small town, he felt changed. He understood that the patrol officer's presence had been more than a chance encounter. It was a moment of revelation, a glimpse into the future potential of humanity. He felt pride, curiosity, and determination. Humans were not merely inhabitants of Earth. They were capable of great things, watched over and guided when necessary. Paul parked his car and looked at the horizon. The desert stretched endlessly, silent and mysterious. He realized that his journey was no longer just about reaching a destination. It was about understanding, observing, and appreciating the extraordinary potential of humans. The patrol officer had opened his eyes, and he could never see the world in the same way again. As he walked toward the town, Paul carried with him a quiet sense of pride and hope. Humanity was not ordinary, and even ordinary humans like him had the chance to witness greatness. The universe was full of mysteries, and humans had a unique role within it. He felt that his life had been touched by something incredible, something beyond ordinary understanding, and he was determined to remember it always. Paul drove carefully along the desert highway, still feeling the events of the last few days pressing in his mind. The patrol officer's abilities and the encounter with the strange vehicle had changed the way he saw the world. He no longer thought of the universe as ordinary or safe. The highway was no longer just a road. It was a path where unknown dangers could appear at any moment. As he drove, the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the desert bathed in deep purple and orange hues. The sky darkened slowly and the first stars began to shine. The desert was quiet, peaceful, yet Paul felt an uneasy sense that something could happen at any moment. The memory of the patrol officer's glowing eyes and precise movements kept him alert. Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared far ahead on the road. It pulsed like a heartbeat, shifting and moving strangely. Paul slowed down, curiosity and caution both rising within him. He had seen similar flickers before, but this one seemed closer, brighter, and more urgent. As he approached, the flicker resolved into a vehicle unlike any he had ever seen. It hovered slightly above the road, its surface shimmering with strange energy. The lights around it shifted in patterns that made it look alive. Paul's heart pounded. He had never expected to encounter something like this on an ordinary desert highway. Before he could react further, the patrol officer appeared again. Her car materialized from the side of the road, moving with no sound. The symbols along the side glowed faintly, and the soft blue light inside made the interior look almost ethereal. She stepped out with calm precision, her eyes glowing brighter than usual. "Stay in your vehicle," she instructed, her voice firm yet calm. "Do not approach. This is beyond normal human interaction." Paul nodded, gripping the steering wheel tightly. He watched as the officer moved toward the hovering vehicle. Her body shifted subtly, becoming stronger, faster, and more commanding. Her movements were precise, almost like a dance, yet filled with undeniable power. The hovering vehicle responded immediately, pulsing with energy and trying to escape. But the patrol officer moved with incredible speed and control, guiding it gently but firmly. Paul could hardly believe what he was seeing. The officer was extraordinary, capable of handling dangers far beyond normal human ability. She lifted the vehicle slightly with her device, stabilizing it, and examined its energy patterns. Paul watched in awe. The vehicle's lights flickered and pulsed, but the officer remained calm, steady, and in control. It was clear that she had trained for situations like this, for dangers that humans could barely imagine. After a few tense moments, the energy around the vehicle diminished. The officer touched it lightly with her hands and guided it to the side of the road. Paul could see that inside, there were small alien creatures shimmering with energy and intelligence. They looked startled, but the officer handled them carefully as if she were protecting both humans and the beings themselves. Paul realized then that humanity was not weak. The patrol officer's abilities were incredible, but they existed to protect humans and maintain balance. She was not attacking recklessly. She was guiding and controlling, ensuring safety for all involved. He felt a deep sense of pride in humanity, knowing that even ordinary people were part of a world that had extraordinary guardians. The officer secured the creatures in a containment field, using her device to stabilize them. She worked quickly and efficiently, her glowing eyes scanning every detail. Paul could see that she was fully aware of the situation, reading it with perfect clarity and precision. He understood that she was not human in the ordinary sense, but her mission was aligned with the protection and growth of humanity. When the creatures were safely contained, the officer returned to her human form and walked back to Paul's vehicle. Her glowing eyes had softened and her presence was calm once more. "You witnessed a rare event," she said. "Not many humans see this. You must understand that highways can be points of vulnerability. Hidden forces may travel unnoticed unless monitored carefully." Paul nodded slowly. "I understand now. You are here to protect, to prevent harm to humans." "That is correct," she replied. "Humans have great potential. Your species adapts quickly, learns fast, and has courage beyond many others. That is why this world is worth guarding, and why I operate discreetly so humans can continue without fear or confusion." Paul felt a quiet pride. Humans were extraordinary, capable of growth, adaptation, and resilience. The patrol officer had shown him a glimpse of that strength, a reminder that humanity was more than ordinary. He realized that ordinary people like him were part of a larger world, a world full of hidden protectors, mysteries, and opportunities. The officer continued, her voice calm but serious. You must keep what you have seen a secret. Humans are not ready to fully understand the universe. But know this. Your species has potential that is recognized by those who watch and protect. Your actions, decisions, and growth contribute to the safety and future of humanity. Paul nodded, understanding the responsibility of his knowledge. He had witnessed a truth that few humans ever would, and he felt honored to carry it. The patrol officer's presence had changed the way he saw the world. It was no longer ordinary, no longer predictable. The universe was vast, full of hidden dangers and hidden opportunities, and humans had the potential to rise and thrive within it. As he continued driving, Paul reflected on the events of the night. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, but he no longer felt alone. He felt part of a larger story, a story in which humanity was important and capable. He understood that ordinary humans could achieve extraordinary things, especially when guided and protected by those who understood their potential. The desert night grew deeper, the stars shining brightly above. Paul felt a sense of calm and purpose. He knew that the patrol officer would not appear every day, but her presence had left a mark on him. Humanity was not weak, not ordinary, and not insignificant. It was strong, adaptable, and worthy of attention from beings who watched over the universe. Suddenly, a faint sound caught his attention. Another vehicle moved along the highway, faintly glowing and shifting. Paul's heart raced. The patrol officer appeared again, her vehicle materializing silently from the side of the road. Her glowing eyes scanned the approaching vehicle, and she moved with precision and confidence. The new vehicle approached quickly, and the officer acted immediately. Her movements were almost too fast for Paul to follow. She lifted the vehicle slightly with her device, stabilizing it, and examined its energy patterns. The alien presence inside was intelligent and aware, but the officer handled it carefully, ensuring no harm came to humans or the creatures themselves. Paul realized that he was witnessing something extraordinary. The patrol officer was not merely enforcing rules or laws. She was maintaining balance, protecting humans, and managing forces that ordinary people could not understand. Humanity was part of a larger universe full of hidden dangers and incredible possibilities. When the situation was resolved, the officer returned to Paul's vehicle. Her glowing eyes had softened, her presence calm and reassuring. You have seen enough, she said. Remember what you witnessed, but continue your life as normal. Humans are not ready to fully understand these events, but your species is capable, adaptable, and courageous. That is why you are watched, and that is why this world is protected. Paul nodded, feeling a quiet pride. The patrol officer's words stayed with him as he drove on. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in meaning. Humanity was not weak, not insignificant, and not ordinary. It was capable, adaptable, and watched over by those who understood its potential. The desert night was quiet, the stars shining above, but Paul felt alive with knowledge and understanding. He had witnessed events that few humans would ever see, and he knew that humanity had a place in the universe. The patrol officer had shown him that humans were special, capable, and worthy of protection. Paul continued driving, carrying a sense of pride, wonder, and responsibility. The highway was no longer just a road. It was a bridge between ordinary life and extraordinary possibilities. He understood that the universe was vast, full of hidden dangers and opportunities, and that humans had the potential to rise above challenges and thrive. By the time he reached the edge of another town, Paul felt changed. He understood that the patrol officer's presence had been more than chance. It was a lesson, a revelation, a glimpse of what humans could achieve. He parked his car and looked at the desert horizon. The highway stretched endlessly, silent and mysterious. He knew that even ordinary humans could contribute to something larger, something extraordinary. Paul felt pride, curiosity, and determination. Humanity was not ordinary. It was strong, capable, and watched over. The patrol officer had shown him the truth, and he would carry it with him forever. He knew that the universe was full of wonders, and that humans had a unique role within it. As he walked toward the town, Paul carried a quiet sense of awe and hope. He had witnessed extraordinary events, and he understood that humanity was more than he had ever imagined. The highway was a path to discovery, a connection to hidden guardians, and a reminder that humans had the potential to rise, adapt, and thrive. Paul had driven for hours since his last encounter with the patrol officer. The desert highway stretched endlessly, quiet and dark under a sky full of stars. His mind replayed every detail of the past few nights, the glowing eyes, the strange vehicles, and the officer's extraordinary abilities. It was hard to believe that the world he had always known could hide so much beyond human understanding. As he drove, Paul felt a sense of purpose growing within him. Humanity was not ordinary, not weak, and not insignificant. The patrol officer had shown him that humans had potential, courage, adaptability, and resilience that could be recognized even by beings far more advanced than themselves. He realized that this journey was no longer just about reaching a destination. It was about understanding, observation, and carrying knowledge that could change the way he saw the universe. Suddenly, a faint pulse of light appeared far ahead on the highway. Paul slowed down, recognizing the shimmer he had seen before. His pulse quickened. It was not just light. It was energy, moving in a pattern that suggested intelligence. He knew immediately that this was another anomaly, another being traveling along the highway. The patrol officer appeared again, her vehicle materializing silently from the side of the road. The glowing symbols along the car's side cast soft light across the asphalt. She stepped out, calm and precise, her glowing eyes scanning the energy in the approaching vehicle. Paul could feel her presence even from inside his car, a mix of authority, power, and protection. "Stay in your vehicle," she instructed. "This is beyond human intervention. Watch carefully, but do not act." Paul nodded, gripping the steering wheel. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. The officer moved with incredible speed and precision, intercepting the anomaly with a combination of strength and technology. Her hands glowed faintly as she used her device to stabilize the energy around the vehicle. The being inside pulsed with bright light, but she handled it carefully, ensuring no harm came to humans or the creature itself. Paul realized that she was not just enforcing rules. She was maintaining balance. She was protecting humans and the universe simultaneously. Humanity was safe not because they were weak or hidden, but because there were beings like her ensuring that danger could be controlled. When the anomaly was secured, the officer returned to Paul's car. Her presence was calm again, though her glowing eyes betrayed the intensity of the recent encounter. "You witnessed a rare event," she said. "Few humans ever see this. The highway is a path where forces move unseen. It is my responsibility to monitor, protect, and intervene when necessary." Paul nodded slowly. "I understand now. You are not just a patrol officer. You are a guardian, a protector of humans and their potential." "That is correct," she replied. "Humans are capable of great adaptability. They learn quickly, act decisively, and survive challenges that many other species cannot. That is why Earth is worth guarding and why I operate discreetly." Paul felt pride swell in his chest. Humans were not ordinary. They were strong, adaptable, and worthy of protection. He understood that even ordinary people could contribute to something larger. Their decisions, actions, and courage mattered in ways that few could imagine. The officer continued. "You must remember what you saw tonight, but you must also continue your life as normal. Humans are not ready to fully understand the universe. But know this: your species has potential recognized by those who watch and protect. Your growth, your courage, and your curiosity are important." Paul nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He had witnessed something extraordinary, something that few humans could ever see. The patrol officer had shown him that humans had a place in a vast universe, a place of significance, strength, and potential. "You may continue your journey," she said. "But remember, humanity is not weak. It is strong, resilient, and capable of adapting to challenges beyond imagination. That is why you are watched and why this world is protected." Paul started his car again, feeling a quiet sense of pride and purpose. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, but he no longer felt fear or uncertainty. He felt connected to something larger, a hidden network of guardians and protectors who ensured that humanity could grow, adapt, and thrive. As he drove, he reflected on what he had learned. Humans were not just ordinary beings living on a small planet. They were capable of extraordinary things, recognized by beings who understood the universe on a deeper level. The patrol officer had shown him that humanity had potential, and that potential was worth protecting. Hours passed, and the desert night deepened. Paul's headlights illuminated the road ahead, but his mind was on the patrol officer and the events he had witnessed. He realized that the universe was vast, full of hidden dangers but also full of opportunities. Humanity had a unique place in it, and ordinary people like him could witness greatness and carry knowledge that few others could comprehend. Suddenly, a sound caught his attention. Another vehicle appeared, this one moving with unusual speed and light. Paul's heart raced. The patrol officer appeared immediately, her vehicle materializing silently from the side of the road. Her eyes glowed faintly as she assessed the situation. She moved with precision, intercepting the vehicle effortlessly. Paul watched in awe as she stabilized the energy around it, handling the anomaly with care and control. It was clear that her mission was protective, not aggressive. She ensured the safety of humans while managing forces beyond their understanding. When the situation was resolved, the officer returned to Paul's car. Her glowing eyes had softened, her presence calm and reassuring. "You have witnessed the capabilities of your protectors," she said. "Remember, humans are not weak. They are capable of extraordinary things. Adaptability, courage, and resilience make your species unique. That is why this world is watched and protected," Paul nodded. "I understand now. Humans are strong. They are capable of great things." The officer smiled faintly. "Yes, and your role as an observer and learner is important. Knowledge and understanding help humans grow. Even ordinary humans can make extraordinary contributions." Paul felt a deep sense of purpose. Humanity was not insignificant. They were capable, adaptable, and worthy of attention from beings who watched and protected the universe. The patrol officer had shown him a truth that few could ever witness. As he continued driving, Paul realized that his journey was no longer just about reaching a destination. It was about understanding humanity, observing the universe, and carrying knowledge that could inspire growth and courage. He understood that ordinary humans could rise to extraordinary challenges, especially when guided by protectors who recognized their potential. The desert night grew deeper, the stars shining brightly above. Paul felt alive with awareness and responsibility. Humanity was not weak, not ordinary, and not insignificant. They were capable, adaptable, and watched over by beings who understood their importance. He thought about the patrol officer again. She was not just a guardian. She was a symbol of what humans could achieve. Her presence inspired him, showing that humans could rise beyond their limitations and contribute to something larger. By the time he reached the edge of another town, Paul felt transformed. He understood that the highway was more than a road. It was a path of discovery, a bridge between ordinary life and extraordinary possibilities. Humanity had a role in the universe, and he had witnessed it firsthand. Paul parked his car and looked at the desert horizon. The highway stretched endlessly, silent and mysterious. He felt pride, curiosity, and determination. Humans were strong, capable, and worthy of protection. The patrol officer had shown him a glimpse of their potential, and he would carry that knowledge with him forever. He walked into the town with a quiet sense of awe. The events of the past nights had changed him. He understood that humanity was special, not because of weapons or power, but because of their adaptability, courage, and potential for growth. They were observed, guided, and protected by beings who recognized their significance. Paul knew that the universe was vast, full of hidden dangers and opportunities. Humans had a place in it, a place of importance, strength, and potential. The patrol officer had shown him that even ordinary humans could witness greatness and carry knowledge that could inspire others. As he looked back at the desert highway, Paul felt a deep sense of responsibility. He had seen the extraordinary, and he understood the importance of humanity's potential. He knew that humans were not weak, not ordinary, and not insignificant. They were capable, adaptable, and worthy of protection. Paul continued into the town, carrying the lessons of the highway, the patrol officer, and the extraordinary events he had witnessed. Humanity was strong, resilient, and watched over. He understood that even ordinary humans could rise to challenges, contribute to something larger, and witness the wonders of the universe. For the first time, Paul felt a deep connection to humanity and the universe. He knew that the patrol officer's mission was ongoing, that protectors were always watching, and that humans had the potential to achieve greatness. He felt pride, curiosity, and hope, knowing that humanity's story was just beginning, and that ordinary humans could play a role in something extraordinary. The highway stretched behind him, quiet and mysterious. The stars shone above, illuminating a path of possibilities. Paul smiled, knowing that he had witnessed a